I never figured I'd be that dude parked in his truck at 2 a.m., glaring through rain-smeared windows at a fertility clinic, trying to piece together how my life took a hard left. Yet there I was, a digital camera resting on my thigh, watching my wife of 8 years slip out of the Augusta Family Planning Center like she was dodging a spotlight. My name's Lucas Bennett, 34, coding software for a decent-sized tech firm in Seattle. I pulled a solid paycheck, got a nice place in a quiet Tacoma neighborhood, always paid the bills on time, and never forgot a wedding anniversary. Thought I had it all mapped out, stable marriage, plans for a couple kids, maybe a cat down the line. My wife, Clara, she's 32, a nurse practitioner at St. Joseph's Hospital. Stunning woman, warm brown skin, deep eyes that used to spark when she caught sight of me. We met back in college, dated for 3 years, tied the knot right after she graduated nursing school. First 5 years? Pure gold. We'd talk about having kids, maybe taking a trip to Italy first, socking away cash for the future. Then something changed. It was slow at first. Clara started picking up extra shifts, staying late at the hospital, saying she wanted to stash more money for our future family. Sounded legit, right? I backed her up, even when it meant scarfing down takeout alone most evenings. But late nights turned into weekend emergencies. Urgent case here, critical patient there. Always something that couldn't wait. Sorry, hon, she'd say, snagging her keys. Mrs. Larson's got heart issues again. You know how it goes. I'd nod, wave her off, reheat some tacos, and wonder when her job became her whole world. The real alarm bell rang 6 months back. I found prenatal vitamins in Clara's bag while digging for a pen. Basic stuff, folic acid, iron, the works. My pulse raced. Maybe she was hinting at something big. Maybe we were finally doing this. Hey, I said that night, holding up the bottle. This mean what I think? Her face went ghost white, like I'd caught her with stolen goods. Oh, those, she said, yanking them away. Just being proactive. Doc said it's smart to start early. Are we starting? I pressed. She gave a tight smile, eyes flat. Soon, Lucas. I just want everything perfect. That was Clara, always plotting, always cautious. I let it go. But then came the mood swings, tearing up at sappy ads, dragging herself around like she hadn't slept in days. Morning nausea, too, which she chalked up to work stress. Maybe see a doc, I suggested after she hurled for the 3rd time that week. I'm basically a doctor, she shot back. I know stress when I see it. That edge in her voice? New. Clara used to be calm, soft-spoken. Now she'd snap over a stray coffee mug or me forgetting to grab eggs. The real gut punch came 3 weeks ago. I got home early from work, hit by a stomach bug, just wanting to flop on the couch. Clara's car was in the driveway, odd, since she was supposed to be at the hospital until 9. I found her in the bathroom, staring at what looked like a pregnancy test. Clara, I called through the door. The toilet flushed, water ran. She opened the door, eyes red-rimmed. You good? I asked. Fine, she said, brushing past me. Just beat. But I spotted the test box in the trash, first response, the pricey kind. That night, I waited for her to spill. Prenatal vitamins, morning sickness, a test? Didn't take a genius to connect the dots. We were having a kid. She said zip. Next morning, I tried again. Clara, anything you want to share? She stirred her tea like it personally offended her. Nothing to share, she said. Nothing, huh? So, I did what any guy with a sinking feeling would do, I started watching closer. Clara's schedule became my mission. I mapped her shifts, checked where she really was. Nurses gossip. I called the hospital a few times, pretending to be a patient needing Clara. Oh, she's not here, the receptionist would say. She's at the fertility center across town. Fertility center, not the ER, not urgent care, fertility. That's when I started tailing her. Sounds bad, I know, stalker vibes, paranoid, maybe obsessive. But after a decade together, you know when your spouse is feeding you lies. And Clara was lying through her teeth. First time I followed her, she went to Augusta Family Planning Center, stayed 2 hours, came out looking wrecked. Second time, same deal, different day. Third time, I brought the camera. That's how I ended up in my truck at 2 a.m., watching my wife move like she had something to hide. Tonight, though, I was done wondering. The rain got heavier as Clara's car peeled out of the lot. I followed, keeping my distance, headlights off, playing it cool. She drove straight home, parked in the driveway, and just sat there for 10 minutes, staring at our house like it was a stranger's. When she finally came in, I was sprawled on the couch, pretending to scroll through Hulu. "Hey," she said, kicking off her sneakers. "How's your day been?" "All right," I said. "Yours?" "Long," she sighed. "Mrs. Carter's blood sugar's a mess. Had to stay late." Mrs. Carter, who didn't exist, according to the hospital's patient list. "Rough one," I said. Clara nodded, trudged upstairs. "I'm wiped. Catch you tomorrow," she called. And that was that, another lie, another night, another crack in whatever we once had. But this time, I had photos. The next morning, Clara left for work at her usual time. I waited 20 minutes, called in sick, and drove to the Augusta Family Planning Center. The lobby was all warm lights and bland art, soft blues and cushy chairs, the kind of place built to make tough talks feel less heavy. A receptionist with flawless hair smiled at me from the desk. "Can I help you?" she asked. "Hope so," I said, pulling out my phone. "My wife's been coming here for appointments, Clara Bennett. I want to surprise her with something nice, but I need her next appointment time." The receptionist's smile flickered. "I'm sorry, sir, we can't share patient info without, she's my wife," I cut in, showing a photo from our wedding. "Clara Bennett, dark hair, about 5 feet 6 inches, works at St. Joseph's." Her eyes lit with recognition. "Oh, you're Lucas." My stomach sank. The receptionist knew my name. "Clara's always talking about you," she said, her smile warm. "She's so lucky to have a husband who's cool with her surrogacy." My world spun out. "Surrogacy?" I managed, my voice catching. She frowned, confused. "Yeah, it's going great. She's, 24 weeks along? The couple she's caring for is over the moon." 24 weeks. 6 months. Right when Clara started acting off. "The couple," I said slowly. "Can you jog my memory on their names?" She hesitated, glancing around the empty lobby. "I shouldn't, but since you're her husband," she leaned in, voice low. "It's Mr. and Mrs. Carver. Clara's been a godsend for them." Carver. Ethan Carver. Clara's old college flame, the one she'd mention after a few glasses of wine, her voice soft with nostalgia. The room tilted hard. "You know," I said, stepping back from the desk, "I'll catch her with that surprise later." I barely made it to my truck before I lost my lunch in the parking lot. Clara was pregnant with another man's kid, her ex's kid, and I was the last to know. The drive back to our Tacoma place was a haze. The receptionist's words looped in my head, "Such a supportive husband. Not everyone's okay with surrogacy." Husband, singular. Like I wasn't part of this deal at all. I pulled into the driveway, engine still humming, trying to wrap my head around it. Surrogacy's legal, sure. Couples who can't have kids hire someone to carry one for them. It's all contracts, doctors, paperwork. But this? This felt like something else, something personal. I needed hard proof, not just a receptionist's slip-up. Inside, I headed straight for Clara's home office. She kept her important stuff in a file cabinet by her desk, bills, insurance, medical records. After 20 minutes of digging, I found it, tucked under a pile of nursing journals, a thick surrogacy contract. 47 pages of dense legal talk, but the basics stood out. Gestational surrogacy agreement. Surrogate, Clara Marie Bennett. Intended father, Ethan James Carver. Intended mother, Lydia Grace Carver. Payment, $75,000, plus medical costs, starting the moment pregnancy was confirmed. I scanned every page, hunting for my name, my signature, some sign I'd been looped in. Nothing. But there was worse, a stack of amendments, signed over the last 6 months. Payment tweaks, schedule changes, and one clause that froze me: in case of marital conflict or divorce during the pregnancy, the surrogate must complete the arrangement, regardless of personal circumstances. Marital conflict. Like they were betting on my marriage imploding. I snapped photos of every page, then slid the contract back exactly where it was. That night, Clara got home around 9:30, looking wiped, her hand resting on her stomach. I noticed the slight curve now, impossible to miss. "How's Mrs. Carter?" I asked from the kitchen, keeping my tone even. "Stable," she said, avoiding my eyes. "Her meds are finally kicking in." She brewed some herbal tea, no caffeine, and started upstairs. "Clara," I called. She stopped on the first step, glancing back. "Yeah?" "We need to talk," I said. "About us, our plans." For a split second, something flashed in her eyes, guilt, maybe, or dread. "Soon," she said. "Work's got me swamped. Big choices are coming up. Big choices, like whether to tell your husband you're carrying your ex's kid." I didn't sleep that night, staring at the ceiling, listening to Clara's soft breathing beside me. 6 months pregnant. The mood swings, the vitamins, the nausea, it all clicked. But why? We'd planned for kids, and wanted them together. If she could carry a baby for someone else, why not ours? Unless this wasn't about the cash. Unless it was about Ethan. The next morning, I made a call. I reached out to Jake Hensley, a private investigator I'd hired before for some work background checks, nothing wild, just corporate stuff. "I need you to dig into someone," I told him. "Ethan Carver lives in Seattle, married to Lydia Carver. I want everything: money, personal life, job, and their connection to my wife." Jake paused. "Lucas, are you sure you want to go there?" he asked. "I'm already there," I said. "Just tell me how far it goes." 3 days later, Jake called back with early findings. "Your guy Ethan's a piece of work," he said. 35, tech consultant, pulls in good money. "I married Lydia 5 years ago." Jake's report hit like a freight train. "Ethan and Lydia Carver went all in on a big Catholic wedding, the whole 9 yards," he said. "They've been trying for a kid for 3 years, multiple miscarriages. Lydia's got some issue with her fallopian tubes, messed up badly. They tried IVF twice, no dice. That explained the surrogacy, but not why Clara was the one carrying their kid. Here's where it gets weird," Jake went on. "Ethan and your wife have been in touch for over a year. Started with social media DMs, then phone calls, then face-to-face meetups. This ain't some random surrogacy gig, Lucas. They sought each other out." My gut twisted. "What's that mean?" I asked. "Clara reached out to Ethan first," Jake said. "Found him on Instagram, said she heard about their fertility struggles through old college buddies, and offered to help." My chest tightened. "She volunteered?" I asked. "More than that, she pushed for it. Keep messaging, calling, meeting for coffee. Convinced them to pick her as their surrogate." "What about Lydia, Ethan's wife?" I pressed. Jake hesitated. "That's the messy part. Lydia wanted a stranger through an agency, but Ethan insisted on Clara. Said it'd be more personal." "Personal?" "Sure." "How personal?" I asked. "That's what you're paying me to figure out," Jake said. Over the next week, Jake dug deeper, and the picture got uglier. Clara and Ethan had been meeting for months, not just for doctor visits. Coffee shops, long lunches, evening strolls in Fremont Park. They even took a weekend trip to the Oregon coast, supposedly to hash out surrogacy details. Lydia knew about some of these meetups, but not all. Jake found her posts on online fertility forums, venting about Ethan being way too involved in the surrogacy process. Then came the real gut punch: financial records. "The contract lists $75,000, Jake said, sliding a folder across his desk in downtown Seattle. "But Ethan's been slipping Clara extra cash. 10 grand here, 5 there, about $40,000 total, wired to her personal account." "For what?" I asked, my voice tight. "That's the million-dollar question," he replied. Jake pulled out more papers, bank statements, credit card receipts. "Check this out," he said. "Clara's been spending big, new dresses, earrings, fancy salon visits. High-end stuff, like she's trying to catch someone's eye." I scanned the receipts: Anthropologie, Saks, a ritzy spa in Capitol Hill. All bought on days she claimed to be working. "There's more," Jake added. "Hotel charges, dinners at upscale places, always for two." I swallowed hard. "She's having an affair," I said, barely above a whisper. "Looks that way," Jake said. "But here's the kicker: surrogacy contracts usually ban any intimate contact between the surrogate and the intended father. It's a legal no-no." If Clara and Ethan are involved, it could tank the whole deal. Meaning what? I asked. Meaning someone's playing a dangerous game, he said. That night, I faced Clara, but not about the surrogacy, not yet. I wasn't ready to tip my hand. Instead, I brought up the money over dinner. We gotta talk about our budget, I said, poking at my steak. She glanced up from her soup. What about it? She asked, her tone cautious. You've been dropping a lot lately, new outfits, fancy dinners. Where's the cash coming from? Her spoon froze midair. I've been picking up extra hours, she said. The fertility clinic pays good money. How good? I pushed. Good enough, she said, eyes dodging mine. Clara, I saw the bank statements. $3,000 last month on what exactly? Her jaw tightened. Work stuff, she said quickly. Clothes for the clinic, professional courses. $3,000 on clothes? I said, not buying it. Lucas, I don't need you grilling me over every dime, she snapped. It's my money too. Is it? I shot back. Because I thought we were saving for our house, our kids, our life. Something flickered in her eyes, hurt, maybe guilt. About kids, she said softly. Maybe we should hold off a bit. Work's intense, and the clinic's teaching me so much about helping families. Helping families, I echoed, my voice flat. That's one way to put it. I leaned forward. Clara, are you happy with me? She reached for my hand, her fingers ice cold. Of course I'm happy, she said. You're my husband. I love you. It sounded like a line she'd practiced in the mirror. That weekend, Clara said she had an emergency shift at the clinic Saturday morning. I waited until her car pulled out, then called St. Joseph's Hospital. The front desk confirmed what I already knew, Clara wasn't on the schedule. She'd taken the day off. I checked the Augusta Family Planning Center, her car wasn't there. On a gut feeling, I drove to Fremont Park, where Jake had tracked her meetings with Ethan. There they were, at a little cafe on Stone Way. Clara and a guy I recognized from his LinkedIn profile, tall, dark hair, sharp blazer. They sat close, her hand near his on the table, her laugh bright and real, the way it used to be with me. Her other hand rested on her stomach, gentle, protective, like she was showing off the baby. I watched for 20 minutes. The way Ethan looked at her, the way she leaned into his words, it wasn't about surrogacy logistics. They were into each other. When they got up to leave, Ethan's hand grazed her back, guiding her to the door. He paused, said something that made her smile, then kissed her forehead, soft, familiar, like I used to do. I tailed them to a parking lot nearby. They lingered by her car for 10 minutes, talking low, laughing. Before she got in, Ethan cupped her face and kissed her lips, quick but deliberate. It wasn't a quick peck, but a real kiss, long, intense, the kind you see between people head over heels. I snapped photos of it all. That evening, Clara rolled in around 6:30, practically glowing, humming some tune. She looked happier than she had in ages. How was the clinic? I asked, leaning against the counter. Hectic, she said, tossing her coat on a chair, but good. Really good. She whipped up dinner, grilled chicken with a side of greens, steering clear of anything risky for her pregnancy, and chattered about random stuff, the Seattle drizzle, weekend ideas, a new series she wanted to binge. It felt like normal couple talk, but it was all wrong. After we ate, I went for it. Clara, I gotta ask you something, and I need the truth, I said, my voice steady. She froze, halfway through stacking plates in the dishwasher. All right, she said, wary. Are you cheating on me? I asked. A glass slipped from her hand, smashing on the tile floor. What? She whispered, barely audible. I saw you today with Ethan Carver, I said. That wasn't about work. Clara stared at the shattered glass, her face cycling through shock, panic, then something calculated. How do you know about Ethan? She asked, voice low. I know about the surrogacy contract too, I said. She collapsed into a chair, like her knees just quit. Lucas, she started. You're pregnant with his kid, I cut in. You've been lying to me for 6 months, and now you're sleeping with him. It's not what you think, she said, voice shaking. What I think is my wife's carrying another guy's baby and fooling around with him while I'm sitting here like a chump, wondering why we're not starting our own family, I said, my words sharp. Clara buried her face in her hands. I was gonna tell you, she said. When? After the baby's born? After you leave me for him? I asked. I'm not leaving you, she said, looking up, eyes wet. I love you. But you love him too, I said. She didn't argue. How long? I asked. How long what? She said. How long have you been in love with Ethan? I pressed. She went quiet, too quiet, for what felt like forever. I never stopped, she said finally. Those words hit like a sledgehammer. We were together in college, she went on, barely above a whisper. 2 years. I thought we'd get married. Then he met Lydia, rich, connected, gorgeous. Everything I wasn't. You're gorgeous, I said, reflex kicking in. Not like her, she said. Ethan picked her, and I moved on, met you, fell in love with you, Lucas. What we have, is real. Then why? I asked. Why the surrogacy? Why the affair? Clara stood, pacing the kitchen, restless. Last year, I heard through friends they were struggling to have a kid. I reached out, just to check in. But seeing Ethan again, she trailed off. You realized you still loved him, I finished. I realized I never stopped, she said. But I love you too, Lucas. That's the honest truth. So you decided to carry his baby, I said, voice flat. Lydia can't carry to term, she explained. They were looking at surrogacy. Ethan brought it up, and I offered. Without telling me, I said. I meant to, she said. But the contract got signed, the procedure worked first try, and suddenly I was pregnant. I didn't know how to tell you. And Ethan? I asked. When did that start? Clara leaned against the counter, hand on her belly. We started meeting to talk about the pregnancy, appointments, plans. But being around him again, you fell for him all over, I said. We both did, she admitted. What about Lydia? I asked. She doesn't know about us, Clara said. She knows about the surrogacy, of course. She's grateful, thinks I'm doing it out of kindness. Are you? I asked. Tears welled in her eyes. I'm doing it because I love him, she said, and because I can give him something she can't. The truth landed heavy, like a stone between us. So what now? I asked. You have the baby, hand it over, and we act like this never happened? I don't know, she whispered. Do you want to leave me? I asked. I don't know, she said. Do you want to be with him? I pressed. I don't know, she repeated. What do you know, Clara? I asked, my voice rising. She looked at me, tears spilling over. I know I've wrecked everything. I know I've hurt you, and I know there's no fixing this. She was wrong about that last bit. There were ways to fix it, just not ones she'd like. I let Clara cry herself out that night, then stayed up digging into Washington state surrogacy laws. What I found was juicy. Contracts could be voided for stuff like fraud, breach of terms, or conflicts of interest, like a surrogate sleeping with the intended father. That was a clear violation, grounds to terminate the deal. If Clara broke the contract, she'd owe back every cent Ethan paid her, the $75,000 plus the extra $40,000 she'd already blown through. It could also tank her career. Nurses could lose their license over ethical breaches, and clinics might blacklist her. Ethan wasn't off the hook either. An affair during surrogacy could be seen as exploiting the surrogate. Lydia could file for divorce, and while Washington's a no-fault state, cheating still sways custody and money splits, especially if she could prove Ethan funneled their cash into the affair. I had a choice, blow it all up and let Clara's world crash, or find another path. The answer hit me Tuesday morning when Clara left for what she called a routine checkup. I tailed her to a diner in Ballard. Ethan was there, waiting in a cozy booth. They talked for 2 hours, hands locked across the table, lost in their bubble. At one point, Ethan slid a small box toward her. Clara opened it, gasped, hand to her mouth, tears shining. Even from across the room, I could see her joy. He wasn't proposing marriage, both were already hitched, but it was something, maybe a promise ring, a token of whatever they were planning. Clara slid the ring onto her right hand, leaned across the table, and kissed Ethan, a spark in her eyes I hadn't seen in forever. That's when I knew what I had to do. From the diner's parking lot, I called Jake. I need everything documented, I told him. Photos, videos, Bank records, all we've got, plus anything else you can dig up. You gonna confront her? Jake asked. Nope, I said, my voice hard. I'm gonna bring her world down. It took 2 weeks to pull it together. Jake worked his network, diving deeper into Ethan's finances, tracking every meetup between him and Clara. What we uncovered was a goldmine of dirt. Ethan had been siphoning cash from his tech consulting firm to bankroll the surrogacy and his side thing with Clara, small amounts at first, then bigger chunks as things heated up. His business partner hadn't caught on yet, but the books were off. Clara, meanwhile, had been leaking private patient info from the fertility clinic during their cozy meetups, stuff that could land her in hot water for HIPAA violations, maybe even federal charges. And Lydia Carver? She had her own secrets. Jake found out she was fooling around with her yoga instructor. Their marriage was already cracking, Ethan just didn't know it. The real bombshell came when Jake got audio. Washington's a one-party consent state, so you can record if one person's in the know. Jake posed as a busboy at their usual spot, a cafe in Fremont, and used a directional mic to catch their chat. I can't keep lying to Lucas, Clara said, voice tight. He's asking questions. What kind? Ethan replied. About money, where I've been, about us, she said. What did you tell him? Ethan asked. Nothing yet, but he's not dumb, Ethan. He's gonna figure it out, Clara said. Maybe that's not the end of the world, Ethan said. Maybe it's time to come clean. Clean about what? Clara asked. That I'm in love with you? That this baby's more than just a surrogacy deal? That we want to be together, Ethan said. A long silence followed. What about Lydia? Clara asked. I'll deal with Lydia, Ethan said. And Lucas, she pressed. You'll handle Lucas, he said. How do I tell my husband I'm carrying another man's kid because I love him? Clara asked, voice breaking. You tell him you made a mistake marrying him. That you're sorry, but you belong with me, Ethan said. Another pause. After the baby's born? Clara asked. After the baby's born, Ethan confirmed. Then we'll be together. For real. I love you, Ethan, Clara said. I love you too, he said, both of you. I could hear the grin in his voice. You and our baby. Our baby, not his and Lydia's through a surrogate, but his and Clara's. That recording flipped a switch in me. I spent the weekend weighing my options. I could confront Clara, but she'd just spin more lies. I could go at Ethan, but he didn't even know I was onto him. Or I could let them torch their own lives. Monday morning, I made 3 calls. First, to Lydia Carver. I told her I had dirt on her husband she needed to see and asked her to meet me for coffee. Second, to Ethan's business partner, Paul Mercer. I hinted at some shady numbers in their company's books. Third, to the Washington State Board of Nursing, reporting possible HIPAA breaches at Augusta Family Planning Center. Then I sat back to watch the chaos unfold. Lydia agreed to meet at a coffee shop in West Seattle. She was younger than I pictured, mid-20s, auburn hair, fidgety, checking her phone nonstop. You said this is about Ethan? She asked, voice sharp. I slid a folder across the table. Take a look, I said. She flipped it open, saw the photos of Ethan and Clara, kissing, holding hands, the ring moment. Her face drained of color. Who's this? She whispered. The surrogate carrying your baby, I said. Lydia stared at the pictures, Ethan's hand on Clara's, the jewelry box. How long? She asked. 6 months, maybe more, I said. She went quiet, flipping through the evidence, her jaw tight. When she looked up, her eyes were ice. What do you want? She asked. I want the surrogacy contract voided, I said. I want Clara to face the music for what she's done, and I want Ethan to pay for wrecking my marriage. Your marriage, she said, startled. Clara's my wife, I said. She's been lying to me for 6 months about carrying your husband's kid. Lydia's expression shifted to something sharp, calculating. What kind of consequences? She asked. I laid out the legal mess, contract fraud, HIPAA violations, professional misconduct. She jotted notes, listening hard. And Ethan? She asked. That's your call, I said, but I've got proof he's been using company money to fund this affair. Lydia's lips curled into a cold smile. I think we can work together, she said. Paul Mercer, Ethan's business partner, was even more intrigued. He was a cautious guy, built his firm on trust and a clean rep. The news that Ethan was skimming cash from client accounts made Paul sick to his stomach. "How much we talking?" he asked, flipping through the financial docs Jake had pulled together. "At least $150,000 over the last year," I said. "Probably more." Paul pressed his fingers to his temples. "Good Lord, we'll lose every client we've got," he said, voice heavy. "Not if you play it smart," I told him. "Cut Ethan loose, make good on the accounts, and come clean to your clients." "And Ethan?" he asked. "That's your call, but I'd get lawyers on it," I said. Paul gave a grim nod. "I'll start making calls," he said. The Washington State Board of Nursing didn't mess around with the HIPAA complaint. They launched an investigation into Augusta Family Planning Center, zeroing in on patient privacy protocols. Clara would face questioning, and if they found proof of violations, her nursing license could be yanked or suspended. But I wasn't stopping there. I called the clinic directly, asking to speak with the medical director about issues with a surrogacy case. Dr. Helen Ramsey, a straight-shooting woman who'd built Augusta's rep on integrity and results, agreed to meet when I mentioned contract breaches. "Mr. Bennett," she said when I stepped into her Seattle office, "you have concerns about a surrogacy arrangement involving your wife, Clara Bennett?" "That's right," I said. "She's carrying a child for Ethan and Lydia Carver." "I know the case," she said. "What's the issue?" I laid out the evidence of Clara and Ethan's affair, photos, bank records, the audio. Dr. Ramsey studied it all, her face unreadable. When she finished, she leaned back. "This is serious," she said. "Our contracts strictly forbid romantic relationships between surrogates and intended parents." "What's that mean for the deal?" I asked. "It means the contract's void," she said. "The Carvers can demand all payments back, and Clara could be barred from future surrogacy programs." "What about the baby?" I asked. She paused, choosing her words. "That's trickier. At 26 weeks, the pregnancy's viable but still delicate. Termination's off the table. The issue is custody, fraud in the contract muddies legal parentage." A chill hit me. "Meaning what?" I asked. "Clara could claim rights as the biological mother," she said. "Ethan could claim rights as the biological father. Lydia has no legal standing. And you, as Clara's husband, could be presumed the legal father under Washington law unless paternity challenged." My head spun. "So I could be on the hook for this kid?" I asked. "It's possible," she said. "Talk to a family law attorney, pronto." I left her office with a heavier load than I'd walked in with. That night, Clara dragged in late, looking beat, one hand rubbing her lower back. Her pregnancy was obvious now, well into the second trimester. "Rough day?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral. "Exhausting," she said, slumping into a chair. "The baby's been kicking like crazy." The baby, not hers, not Ethan's, just this vague thing, like it didn't belong to anyone. "Clara," I said, "we gotta talk." Her eyes flicked up, wary. "About what?" she asked. "About what's next." "Our future," I said. "Lucas," she started, voice shaky. "I know about the ring," I said, low and steady. Her hand twitched toward her right finger, where Ethan's gift sat under her wedding band. "I know about your plans with him after the baby's born." Her face fell apart, tears spilling. "How?" she whispered. "Does it matter?" I said. She shook her head, sobbing. "I'm sorry, Lucas," she said. "I never meant to hurt you." "But you did," I said. "You've been hurting me for months." "I know, and I hate myself for it," she said, voice breaking. "Do you?" "Because it looks like you're pretty content with your choices," I shot back. She stood, her movement sharp. "You don't get it," she said. "It's messy." "It's not messy," I said. "You're married to me, carrying another guy's kid, and sleeping with him. That's not messy, that's betrayal." "I love you," she said, desperate. "No, you love the safety net I give you," I said. "You love having a fallback while you play happy family with Ethan. But you don't love me." She opened her mouth, then shut it. She knew I was right. "What now?" she asked, voice small. "Now you face the consequences," I said. The next morning, it all started unraveling. Clara left for work at her usual time, but half an hour later, my phone buzzed. Lucas, Clara's voice was frantic. You need to come to the clinic. Now. What's wrong? I asked. Just come. I can't explain over the phone, she said. I found her in Dr. Ramsey's office, sitting across from the director, tears streaming down her face. Legal papers were spread across the desk. Mr. Bennett, Dr. Ramsey said as I walked in, thanks for coming. We've got a serious problem. Clara wouldn't meet my eyes. The surrogacy contract between your wife and the Carvers has been terminated, Dr. Ramsey said. Due to violations. What kind? I asked, playing clueless. Intimate contact between the surrogate and the intended father, she said. It's strictly against our rules. Clara finally met my eyes. Lucas, she started, voice shaky. Mrs. Bennett, Dr. Ramsey cut in, you need to grasp the legal fallout here. The Carvers are demanding you repay every cent they gave you, $115,000. Clara's face went pale as ash. I don't have that kind of money, she said, voice cracking. Beyond that, Dr. Ramsey went on, without a valid surrogacy contract, the child's legal parentage is a tangle. What's that mean? Clara asked, barely holding it together. It means you and your husband could legally be considered the parents, Dr. Ramsey said. The room went dead quiet. I'll give you some space to digest this, Dr. Ramsey said, gathering her papers. But you need to talk to lawyers, fast. This is uncharted territory. She left, and Clara and I sat there, the silence thick. Did you know? Clara finally asked. Know what? I said. That they'd void the contract, she asked. I looked at her, 7 months pregnant with another man's kid, sitting in a clinic office, facing the wreckage of her affair, and she was asking me that. Clara, I said, low and steady, I've known everything for weeks. Her face flickered, shock, pain, betrayal. You planned this, she said. I protected myself, I said. By ruining me, she asked, voice rising. By letting you ruin yourself, I shot back. She stood, hand on her belly, unsteady. I need to call Ethan, she said. Ethan's got his own mess to deal with, I said. What's that supposed to mean, she asked, eyes narrowing. Lydia filed for divorce yesterday, infidelity and financial fraud. His business partner's pushing embezzlement charges, and the state nursing board's coming after you for HIPAA violations, I laid out. Clara sank back into the chair, stunned. How do you know all this, she asked. Because I set it in motion, I said. The truth hung there, sharp as a knife. You did this, she whispered. You destroyed everything. I documented it, I said. Big difference. My career, my license, the baby, she started. All consequences of your choices, not mine, I cut in. Clara buried her face in her hands. What am I gonna do, she asked, voice muffled. I don't know, I said. But you're not doing it as my wife. That afternoon, I had divorce papers served to Clara. She was sprawled on the couch, feet propped up, when the process server knocked. From the kitchen window, I watched her sign for the envelope, her face blank. When she came back in, she read the papers aloud. Irreconcilable differences, no contest divorce, she said, voice flat. I'm not asking for alimony, I said. I'm not touching your assets. I just want out. The house, she asked. I'll buy out your share, I said. With what money, she scoffed. The money you'll owe me from the surrogacy contract, I said. Clara let out a bitter laugh. I don't have it, Lucas. It's gone. Then you'll figure out how to get it, I said. She flipped through the papers, pausing at one section. What's this about the baby, she asked. Paternity disclaimer, I said. I'm stating I'm not the father and won't take responsibility. But Washington law, she started. Presumes the husband's the father unless he opts out, which I'm doing, I cut her off. Clara stared at the papers. So what happens to the baby, she asked. That's for you, Ethan, Lydia, and your lawyers to sort out, I said. The reality hit her hard, she was 7 months pregnant with a kid no one legally claimed. The intended parents were splitting, the contract was void, and her husband was walking away. Lucas, she said, voice soft, I know I screwed up, but this baby's innocent. It is, I said. And you're just gonna turn your back, she asked. I'm protecting myself, just like you've been doing for 6 months, I said. That's not the same, she said. Isn't it? I replied. Over the next few weeks, the whole mess came crashing down. Ethan's business imploded when his embezzlement went public. Paul Mercer, his partner, filed a civil suit for damages and tipped off the cops, leaving Ethan facing possible criminal charges. Lydia's divorce lawyer went for blood, demanding half of everything Ethan had left after paying back his clients. She also got a restraining order, citing emotional abuse. Clara's nursing license got suspended while the state board dug into her sharing patient info with Ethan about other couples' treatments. And the baby? Due in 2 months, with no one sure who'd take it. Clara tried calling me, leaving voicemails that got more frantic. "Lucas, please call back," she begged. "The lawyers say I might have to put the baby up for adoption." "Is that what you want?" "I know you're mad, but this kid doesn't deserve to pay for my mistakes." She was right about that last part, but the baby wasn't my problem. 3 weeks before the due date, Clara showed up at my office in downtown Seattle. Security buzzed me, asking if I'd see her. I said yes, mostly to see how far she'd fallen. She looked rough, worn out, stressed, hugely pregnant, her face gone except for the belly. "Lucas," she said, sitting across from my desk, "I need your help." "With what?" I asked, leaning back. "The baby. The legal mess is a nightmare. Ethan can't take custody, Lydia's lawyers are blocking it. She doesn't want the baby since it came from an affair. Adoption agencies won't touch it because of the legal snarl," she said, voice trembling. "What do you expect me to do?" I asked. "Could you claim paternity, just for now, until we sort something out?" she said, eyes pleading. I stared at her, stunned. "You want me to fake being this kid's dad on paper?" I asked, my voice sharp with disbelief. "Just legally, to give the baby a clear status," Clara said, her tone pleading. "No way," I said, firm as stone. "Lucas, please," she begged. "I know I've got no right to ask, but you're damn right you don't," I cut her off. Clara broke down, not the soft tears from before, but raw, gut-wrenching sobs. "I've lost it all," she said, voice cracking. "My job, our marriage, my future. But this baby, she didn't ask for any of this." "Neither did I said, quieter now. "I know, and I'm so sorry," she said, choking on the words. "But Lucas, you're a decent guy. You've always been decent. Decent guys don't let innocent kids get caught in the crossfire." She was playing me, and we both knew it. But she wasn't wrong about the baby. "What exactly are you asking me to do?" I said. "Claim paternity just long enough to make adoption smooth," she said. "Give her a legal standing so she can go to a good family." "And then?" I asked. "Then you can sign away rights during the adoption process. No strings attached," she explained. I chewed on it. The baby was coming in weeks, whether I stepped in or not. Clara was right, the legal mess would screw things up without a fix. But helping her felt like letting her skate on the consequences of her choices. "I'll think about it," I said. "Lucas," she started. I said I'll think about it, I snapped. Clara nodded, swiped at her tears, and walked out. That night, I called Jake. "How's the divorce going?" he asked. "Almost done." "Clara signed the papers," I said. "And the other mess?" he asked. "Still a disaster. She wants me to claim paternity temporarily to help with adoption," I said. Jake went quiet for a beat. "That's not the worst idea," he said. "It clears the legal fog, gives the kid a shot at a normal life. And lets Clara off easy," I said, bitter. "Does that matter now?" Jake asked. "She's lost her job, her marriage, her boyfriend. She's about to be a single mom with no support and a pile of debt. How much more does she need to hurt?" It was a solid point. "What would you do?" I asked. "I'd help the kid," Jake said. Clara made her bed. The baby didn't. 2 days later, Clara went into labor. She called me from St. Joseph's Hospital in Seattle, alone and freaking out. Ethan had skipped town, dodging criminal charges. Lydia wanted nothing to do with the situation. "Lucas, please," Clara said over the phone, her voice shaky. "I've got no one else." Against every instinct, I went. I found her in a delivery room, looking small and terrified in the hospital bed, a nurse checking her monitors. "How far along?" I asked. 7 centimeters, the nurse said. Won't be long now. Clara grabbed my hand. Thank you for being here, she whispered. I didn't respond, just sat by her side as she labored. The baby came at 3:42 a.m., a girl, 7 pounds, 2 ounces, healthy. The nurse laid her on Clara's chest, and for a moment, the world shrank to just them. Clara gazed at her daughter, her face lit with awe and love. She's perfect, she murmured. The baby had Clara's dark hair but hints of Ethan's features from the photos I'd seen. What's her name? The nurse asked. Clara glanced at me, uncertain. I haven't picked one yet, she admitted. No hurry, the nurse said, smiling. When the staff left us alone, Clara and I sat quietly, watching the baby sleep. What now? Clara asked, voice soft. Now you figure out what kind of mom you want to be, I said. I want to be a good one, but I don't know how to do this on my own, she said, tears welling. You should have thought of that 6 months ago, I said. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I know I ruined everything, she said. Clara, I said, my voice firm, here's the deal. I'll help with the legal stuff for the baby's sake, but that's it. Once the adoption's done, we're through, no calls, no favors. I get it, she said, voice barely above a whisper. The baby stirred, letting out a tiny sound. Clara's face softened as she looked down. I think I want to keep her, she said quietly. What? I asked, caught off guard. I want to raise her, be her mom, she said, her voice stronger. Clara, you can't support a kid, I said. No job, no money, a suspended license. I'll figure it out, she insisted. I'll get work, make it happen. With what? I pressed. You owe over $100,000 from the surrogacy deal. I'll find a way, she said, clutching the baby tighter. I looked at her, holding that kid, and saw she meant it. After all the chaos, the lies, the fallout, Clara still thought she could pull it off. What about Ethan? I asked. What about him, she said, defiant. He's the father. He's got rights, I said. Ethan's drowning in legal trouble, Clara said, her voice flat. He's broke, got a restraining order from Lydia, can't even take care of himself, let alone a kid. She had a point. Clara, think hard about this, I said. You're 28, jobless, buried in debt, with no one to lean on. Raising a kid alone isn't some fairy tale, it's a grind, every day, for 18 years. I get that, she said, eyes fierce. Do you? I shot back. Your history with big picture planning ain't exactly stellar. Clara's jaw clenched. I screwed up, but I'm not abandoning my daughter, she said. Our daughter, she'd called her, not Ethan's, not just the baby. She's not mine, Clara, I said. She could be, if you wanted, she said, her gaze steady. What's that supposed to mean? I asked. She looked at the baby, then back at me. We could raise her together, as ours. No one has to know the truth. The nerve of it hit me like a punch. You want me to play dad to your lover's kid? Raise her like my own after everything you've pulled? I asked, incredulous. She needs a father, Lucas, she said. And you'd be a great one. You've always wanted kids. Not like this, I said, my voice hard. But she's here now, real and innocent, Clara said. She was using the baby to tug at me, and we both knew it. But staring at that tiny girl, sleeping soundly in her mom's arms, something stirred in me. She was innocent, caught in a mess she didn't make. I need time to think, I said. How much time? Clara asked, voice tight. I don't know, I said. I left the hospital before she could push harder. For 3 days, I dodged calls and kept to myself. I called in sick to work and wandered Seattle streets, through Pike Place, along the waterfront, trying to sort out what to do. The smart move was clear, sign the paternity papers to fix the legal mess, help Clara set up an adoption, and walk away. Find someone who wouldn't lie to me for 6 months about carrying another man's kid. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw that baby's face. On the 4th day, Jake called. Clara's been blowing up your phone, he said. I know, I said. She's naming the baby tomorrow, says she can't wait longer for the birth certificate. What's the name? I asked. Grace, he said. Grace, huh, I muttered. Lucas, Jake said, I know it's a mess, but she's alone, scared, with a newborn. She's been calling you nonstop. Not my problem, I said. Isn't it? He asked. That afternoon, I went to see Clara at St. Joseph's Hospital. She was in her room, breastfeeding the baby, looking worn but relieved when I walked in. Lucas, thank God, she said. How you holding up? I asked. Exhausted, scared, but okay, she said, glancing at the baby. She's a good kid, sleeps well, eats well. You thought more about adoption? I asked. Clara's arms tightened around the baby. I can't do it, she said. I know it's probably smarter, but I can't let her go. So what's your plan? I asked. I'll stay with my cousin in Tacoma for a bit, find work, maybe as a medical receptionist. Start fresh, she said. With a newborn and no cash? I said, skeptical. People make it work, she said. Not people owing 6 figures, I said. Clara went quiet. The Carver's lawyers called, she said. They'll settle for $50,000 instead of the full amount. That's still $50,000 you don't have, I said. I know, she whispered. I sat in the chair by her bed. The baby, done feeding, slept against Clara's shoulder. What do you want from me? I asked. Be her dad, she said. She's got a dad, Ethan, I said. Ethan's gone, she said. Skipped town last week. His lawyer says he's not fighting for custody. What about child support? I asked. What support? He's got nothing, she said. So Clara was truly on her own. Lucas, she said, I know I've got no right to ask. I know I wrecked us, but this baby deserves better than what I can give her alone. What are you pitching? I asked. Help me raise her, not as Ethan's kid, but as ours. Get back together, be a family, she said. The words hung heavy. You want me to erase the affair, the lies, the surrogacy? Just pretend it didn't happen? I asked. I want you to forgive me, she said. I want us to start over. With another man's kid, I said. With our kid, if you claim paternity, she said. Legally, she'd be yours. Biology doesn't matter. Biology matters, I said. So does trust. So does honesty. I'll never lie to you again, she said. You've said that before, I shot back. Clara shifted the baby to her other arm. Lucas, I know I made awful choices. I know I hurt you in ways that might never heal. But you're a good man who wanted kids. Here's a kid who needs a dad. I wanted kids with my wife, not my wife's affair, I said. I'm still your wife, she said. Not for long, I replied. Clara looked at the baby, tears streaming. What if I cut Ethan out completely? What if I'd move wherever you want, start fresh, she asked. What if I don't believe a word you say anymore? I said. She nodded, taking the hit. Then what happens to Grace, she asked. Grace? I said. That's her name, she said. Why Grace? I asked. Because she's hope for something better, despite all this, she said. I looked at the sleeping baby. Grace. It fit her. Clara, I said, even if I could forgive you, and I'm not sure I can, how's this supposed to work? You'd always know she's not mine. I'd always know you had her with him. That's no way to build a marriage, I said, my voice tight. People have gotten through worse, Clara replied, her eyes searching mine. Have they? I asked, skeptical. I believe so, she said. I hope so. There it was again, hope. I need more time, I said. How much more, she pressed, voice soft but urgent. I don't know, I admitted. Clara reached for my hand. Lucas, I know I've got no right, but could you hold her? Just once, she asked. Before I could say no, she gently placed the baby in my arms. Grace was tiny, warm, perfect. Her eyes fluttered open, giving me that hazy newborn stare, then she yawned and drifted back to sleep. Holding her felt, right, like she fit there. She likes you, Clara said, her voice tender. She doesn't know me, I said. Maybe that's not what matters, she replied. I held Grace for 20 minutes, watching her breathe, my mind spinning through Clara's lies, the affair, the surrogacy mess, but also the future, this little girl growing up without a dad because of her parents' screw-ups. Clara, I said finally, if I even consider this, and I'm not saying I will, what are you willing to do to make it work? Anything, she said, no hesitation. Anything? I pressed. Yes, she said. Would you sign a post-nup giving me full custody if you ever step out again? I asked. She nodded instantly. Yes. Would you go to therapy, solo and with me? I asked. Yes, she said. Would you let me control our money until you prove I can trust you? I asked. Yes, she said. Would you ditch nursing for a different job? I asked. Clara paused. Why, she said. Your license is probably toast anyway, I said, and I don't want you in clinics where you might run into another Ethan. That's controlling, she said, bristling. That's reality, I said. Trust is earned, Clara. You're at ground zero. She went quiet, staring at Grace in my arms. What would I do for work, she asked. We'd figure it out, I said. And you'd really raise Grace as your own, she asked, voice trembling. If I do this, she's my daughter, not Ethan's, not some surrogacy kid. Mine. Can you live with that? I asked. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Yes, she said. And you get that if you lie, cheat, or even think about straying again, I take Grace, and you're out of our lives for good? I asked. I understand, she said. I looked at Grace, so small, so fragile. She deserved a shot at real life, no matter what her parents did. All right, I said quietly. All right, she echoed, stunned. I'll claim paternity. We'll try to make this work, I said. Clara broke down, sobs of relief and exhaustion. Thank you, Lucas, she whispered. I'll spend my life making this right. You'll spend your life being the wife and mom you should have been from the start, I said. I promise, she said, nodding. I looked at Grace, still asleep. Hey, daughter, I murmured. 2 weeks later, I signed the paternity papers. Grace Clara Bennett became my legal daughter. The surrogacy contract was officially scrapped, the debt wiped in exchange for my paternity claim. Clara and I signed a post-nup, heavily tilted in my favor. If she messed up again, I'd get Grace and most of our assets. She agreed to therapy and handed over financial control. We moved to a new house in Everett, north of Seattle, for a clean break. Clara landed a job as a receptionist at a pediatric office, less pay than nursing, but steady. She started therapy twice a week, digging into whatever drove her to blow up our lives. And Grace? She was perfect. By 8 weeks, she slept through the night, smiled early, hit every milestone. I couldn't see Ethan in her at all. She had Clara's dark hair but, I swore, my stubborn chin. That's what I chose to see. The first year was rough. Clara tried so hard to be the perfect wife and mom, it sometimes felt like she was acting a part. I had to learn to trust her again, which meant trusting my own instincts too. But bit by bit, things improved. Clara dove into motherhood with the same fire she'd once poured into her affair, reading parenting books, joining mom groups, logging every first Grace hit. She was hell-bent on being the mom Grace needed. Me? I fell hard for that little girl. Biology didn't matter. From that hospital moment, she was mine. When Grace was 18 months old, Clara brought up having another kid. Ours, this time, she said, eyes hopeful. I thought it over, long and hard. Part of me wanted to give Grace a sibling, to do pregnancy and birth the right way, with trust. But part of me worried another kid could shake the balance we'd found. Grace was mine in every way. Would a new baby change that? Let's hold off, I said. Let's make sure we're rock solid first. Clara nodded. I get it, she said. On Grace's second birthday, Clara gave me a photo album labeled Grace's first 2 years. Every page was meticulous, first smile, first tooth, first wobbly steps. But the captions got me, Grace with Daddy at the park, Daddy teaching Grace to toddle, Grace's first Christmas with Mommy and Daddy. Not once did Clara hint I wasn't her real dad. To her, I was Grace's father, full stop. That night, after Grace was tucked in, we sat on the couch, flipping through the album. Do you ever regret taking us back? Clara asked. I thought hard. The past 2 years had been a slog, rebuilding trust, navigating the fallout of her choices, raising a kid on a foundation of betrayal and forgiveness. But seeing Grace thrive, watching Clara fight to earn her place, I shook my head. No, I said. Even knowing how Grace came to be, she asked, voice small. Grace wasn't born from betrayal, I said. She came from love, your love for Ethan, his for you. It was the wrong love, wrong time, wrong everything, but it was love. Clara's eyes shimmered with tears. I love you more now than I ever loved him, she said, voice raw. I know, I said, softer than I meant. Do you love me? She asked, a question she'd dodged for 2 years. Yeah, I said. Not like before, but yeah, I love you. And Grace? She asked, holding her breath. Grace is my daughter. Always will be, I said. Clara leaned into me, and for the first time since this whole nightmare started, it felt easy, real. Can we try for another kid now? She asked, her voice hopeful. I flipped through the photo album, seeing the family we'd pieced together from the wreckage of her lies and my forgiveness. Yeah, I said. Let's do it. 6 months later, Clara was pregnant. No secrets this time, no shadows, no other guy, just us, planning a future, thrilled to grow our family. Grace would get a little sibling, someone who'd never know the tangled truth of her origins. To the new kid, Grace would just be the big sister. To Grace, the new baby would just be her little brother or sister. Family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about choosing to love, to forgive, to build something stronger from what's broken. Clara made brutal mistakes that nearly shattered us. But she also chose to fight for us, to earn back my trust, to become the wife and mom she should have been. And I chose to forgive her, not because she earned it, but because Grace deserved a dad, because Clara deserved a shot to make it right. Sometimes the best revenge isn't tearing someone down, it's building something better. Our second kid, a boy we named Owen, arrived 9 months later. Grace was 3, old enough to be pumped about being a big sister. In the hospital room, she climbed onto my lap and asked, Daddy, will you love Owen as much as you love me? I'll love Owen exactly like I love you, I said, because you're both my kids. Grace nodded, happy with that. She didn't know those words carried extra weight for her. She didn't know her biological dad was a guy named Ethan who'd bailed before she was born. She didn't know I'd chosen to be her father when I could have walked. To her, I was just daddy, and that was enough. Clara and I never mentioned Ethan again. The surrogacy, the affair, the mess of Grace's conception, it was buried, irrelevant to the life we were crafting. Sometimes, late at night, checking on the kids, I'd watch Grace sleep and wonder what Ethan was up to. Did he ever think about the daughter he'd never met? Did he regret it? But those thoughts faded fast. Grace wasn't Ethan's. She was mine, from the moment I claimed her. Clara had handed me both the heaviest burden and the greatest gift, a kid who wasn't mine by blood but who I loved like she was, a daily reminder of her betrayal and my choice to forgive. On Grace's 5th birthday, she asked where babies come from. When a mommy and daddy love each other a lot, Clara started. I know that, Grace cut in. But where did I come from? Was I in mommy's tummy? Clara and I traded a look. We knew this was coming someday. Yeah, I said. You were in mommy's tummy, and daddy couldn't wait to meet you. Did you pick my name? She asked. We chose it together, Clara said, because you were our hope for a better future. Grace seemed content with that. As she grew, tougher questions would come, about genetics, medical history, things that might dig up the truth. But for now, at 5, she was secure knowing her parents loved her. That was plenty. That night, Clara and I sat on our porch in Everett, watching the sunset over Puget Sound. Did we do the right thing? She asked. Not telling her the whole story? We're telling her what matters, I said. That she's loved, wanted, part of us. What if she finds out one day? Clara asked, voice low. We'll handle it together, I said. She squeezed my hand. I never really thanked you for choosing us, she said. Choosing her. You thank me every day, I said, by being the wife and mom you are now. I'm not perfect, she said. Neither am I said. But we're good enough. Upstairs, Owen babbled in his crib, and Grace chattered to her stuffed animals. The sounds of an ordinary family in an ordinary home, living an ordinary life. It wasn't the life I'd pictured, not the family I'd planned, but it was the one I'd chosen, built from betrayal's rubble and held together by forgiveness. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying the one who hurt you. It's taking their mistakes and making something beautiful. Grace was Clara's mistake, but she was our redemption. And that was more than enough.